Millions of women treat their intimate lives as a managed performance. They memorize their lines, hit their marks, and put on a show instead of experiencing a genuine mutual connection. This routine is what we call the standard scenario. It is a predictable and repetitive script played out the exact same way every single time, and tailored almost entirely to what the partner's physiology dictates. This diagram compares the typical timelines of an intimate encounter. On top, we see the rapid male refractory cycle. Below it is the extended timeline required for female arousal and climax. Notice this gap right here. This is where the standard scenario usually ends, long before the woman's physical needs are met. Left stranded in that gap, many women slip into a state of passive compliance. To bring the encounter to a close without causing friction, they simply rely on faking an orgasm. Faking it turns an act meant for connection into a lonely stereotype of endurance. When you replace genuine physical pleasure with a rehearsed imitation, true intimacy cannot take root. The decision to perform rather than participate rarely comes from malice. It usually stems from a concern for rocking the boat or wounding a partner's ego. But this survival mechanism has a severe unintended consequence. By faking satisfaction, you are actively giving positive reinforcement to ineffective technique. This flowchart shows exactly how that trap works. It starts with ineffective technique, which leads directly to faked satisfaction. That faked climax acts as a signal for the partner to repeat the exact same unsatisfactory routine next time. Once this loop locks into place, it does not matter if you are intimate once a week or every single day. Over weeks, months, and years, the frequency becomes irrelevant because the quality of the encounter is structurally guaranteed to fail. By continuing to protect a partner's feelings through imitation, you accidentally construct a mutual cycle of long-term physical disconnection. Breaking out of this behavioral loop requires immediate action, but doing so without an abrupt revelation that damages the relationship presents a specific challenge. Do not sit your partner down and confess your history of faked orgasms. A sudden confession of this magnitude can inflict trauma on a partner's confidence. It causes them to question their sexual adequacy and the reality of your entire shared history. That ego trauma often triggers a defensive response. Instead of opening up, the partner may shut down their willingness to communicate, collaborate, or adapt to anything new. In this context, brutal honesty is a destructive tool. Rewriting the rules of the bedroom requires a strategic, diplomatic shift rather than a blunt confession. The most effective way to change the rules without criticizing your partner's past performance is a strategy called the professional pivot. The core mechanism here is the learning alibi. You announce to your partner that you have enrolled in a professional sexology or educational course designed specifically to expand your feminine potential. This layout captures the necessary shift in mindset. You move away from "what's wrong with us" and focus entirely on "what is possible for me." You explain that because you are focusing on specific assignments regarding internal sensations, you might not reach a climax every time right now. You then introduce a new collaborative script. You tell your partner that you need them to act as your assistant for specific exercises, helping you physically map out new points of pleasure. This specific framing bypasses ego defense mechanisms. By shifting the focus away from a critique of performance, it turns the encounter into a shared educational project. Enlisting your partner as an assistant instantly removes their burden of being the lead performer. They are no longer solely responsible for orchestrating the finish. This specific role reassignment neutralizes the pressure on both sides of the bed. The goal is no longer achieving a targeted, timed climax. It allows you to transition away from theatrical imitation and passive endurance, replacing those old habits with an active, educated physical investigation of your own body. The alibi functions as a complete relationship reset. It gives couples the opportunity to start from zero and rebuild their intimacy based entirely on actual, honest physical sensations. With the pressure off, the physical goals of this exploratory phase completely change. Instead of just trying to finish the act, you are now actively mapping out hidden internal pleasure centers. This diagram maps out the specific anatomical targets waiting to be explored. By charting distinct coordinate points like the U point, the G spot, and the K point, we can see a much broader landscape of stimulation well beyond standard anatomy. Discarding the old timeline opens up new physical possibilities. Women who previously felt little can establish new baseline sensations, while others can expand their capacity to experience blended or even multiple orgasms. Throwing away the standard scenario and reclaiming strict honesty ends the cycle of performance. It reveals a level of deep physical ecstasy and mutual trust that was previously hidden behind a fake script.
The electronic version of all chapters from the full book, She Who Awakens by Alina Chamberlain, can be found at wishforlove.org.